People tend to give the word argument a bad rap. I honestly like to think of it not as a shouting match between two or more parties, although it can devolve into that sometimes. I like to think of it more as a debate, making a case for something. And I think that ultimately in this day and age, there's a lot of opportunity for us to hone our skills on how to argue effectively, how to communicate more effectively. So in this video, what I would like to do is to share my method of how to argue a point effectively. So without further ado, let's hop straight in. Step number one, have the last word when you're opening your argument. In this, try not to go first. Resist that urge. Let the other speak first. Because if you start immediately, then you're immediately playing your hand and you're allowing the other parties an opportunity to immediately start forming rebuttals. I like to sit back, let the other people have their say, and I like to go near the end or dead last, because then that way I'm immediately dissecting everything that everybody else has said and I can weave that into my opening argument. And I find that helps me make a more effective case. Step two, keep your cool. This is super, super important. A lot of arguments, whether it's, for your debate team, whether it's in the courtroom, whether it's even, let's say, in a family setting, or you're arguing with a significant other or a friend, something like that, emotion does tend to get the better of us. Emotions are a part of our body, we get that. But keeping your cool is so, so important. Do not fall into the trap of ad hominems or take bait that people will set for you. And this is why it's really, really important for you to know exactly what sets you off, what kind of bait is there for you to start to get your blood boiling. Because if somebody that you're arguing with knows you well enough, they're going to drop these specific little bombs inside of their argument in order to throw you off and to set you off. That way you get more emotional, you lose track of your initial argument, and again, it draws you away from the high ground. So it's really, really important to keep your emotions in check. I'm not saying turn them off immediately, completely, because that's impossible, but moderate them and turn the emotion on when necessary. Read the room, feel comfortable with it. Don't go, yelling all guns blazing all of the time. There is a time and a place where you can turn it on and turn it off. It makes your argument a little bit more effective that way. Step three, don't get sidetracked. If the argument or if the debate or the conversation is becoming long and drawn out, particularly grueling, or if the opponent starts filibustering, keeps trying to change the subject, or starts to veer off in a different direction, you've more than likely exposed a hole in their argument, and you need to press that advantage. The best way to do that, I find, is to loop back around and to repeat your points. A good example of this is actually the late great Kevin Samuels, rest in power. He does this a lot, especially if you watch his videos where he's having these debates on Instagram Live or on his live YouTube, where he'll repeat the question when he's not getting an answer that he wants, and as well, he will keep circling back to the original point when his opponent, in this case, let's say, starts trying to weave their way out of this line of questioning and start to talk about something else where they feel more comfortable. So again, if you keep circling around back to the initial point, you will win by attrition, because eventually the other person will either give up or they'll have to cave and give you the answer that they're looking for. Step 4, pick your battles, but stand your ground. Now, not every hill is worth dying on, but if you're boxed in, retreat is not an option, right? There are going to be times where we're going to find ourselves in an indefensible position. So, in order to conduct an orderly retreat without conceding defeat, what we have to do is to, again, loop back, make your points as clearly and as logically as possible. Don't go all out swinging, because then that'll start to get heated and emotional, and that will lead into a crushing defeat. So I would say In my opinion, what it would be is just, again, keep restating your point. And eventually, there will be a clear winner or loser in any single debate or argument. But this L doesn't have to be a capital one. It can be like a small L. You just retreat in an orderly fashion, learn from the holes in your argument, and learn how to patch them up and use it next time that you have a similar argument. Number 5, and this is arguably the most important one. This is something that I've actually had a lot of trouble with in the past, and that's to learn when to walk away. Both parties will know when a discussion reaches that clear winner or loser point, and sometimes it will devolve into unnecessary ad hominems. People will tend to do this when they know that they've lost, and then they'll immediately start going into ad hominems trying to discredit you personally, in order to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, so to speak. And that's not worth it. Also, refer back to step 4, know when to engage in debate in the first place, right? You don't have to go jumping in, being the savior all the time. And honestly, some conversations just aren't worth it at this time. Anyway, like I said, the reason I wanted to share this, and the reason why I've put it in terms as to clear winner or loser, and very almost in treating it almost like a battle, because that's what it is. It's a battle of ideas. We have to continuously pit our ideas in battle against other ideas in order to expose weaknesses in our own thought process, and also in order to help other people strengthen their own ideas. I'm a very, very firm believer in the fact that bad ideas will eventually weed themselves out when put under enough scrutiny, which is why it's important for us to engage in vigorous debate and argument from time to time. I don't mean this to say that you should just go around picking fights and starting arguments with people, but what I mean to say is that it really is important, especially with people that you care about, and especially with ideas that you care about. It's very, very important for them to stand up to scrutiny, and as such, they need to be continuously tested and troubleshot for holes, for flaws, for fallacies, and so on and so forth. So please let me know in the comments if you found this video helpful, and also to answer a couple of questions. Do you engage in debate frequently? If so, what do you like to debate about? Is it the standard boilerplate politics, or is it something a little bit more esoteric? Anyway, let me know what your thoughts were in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching.